validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I am your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Hope you are enjoying your Sunday evening. We have a lot of Q&As for today, so I hope that you guys enjoy them. Remember that you guys should make sure that you like and subscribe. Also, join the membership if you have time to do so. Special shout out to those of you that are watching us on Twitch and Twitter. If you would like to jump in on the comments that we have coming up tonight, you guys can click that link, approve the mic, approve the camera. It'll bring you on in real time. Beyond that, we're going to try our best to run through quite a few questions and comments this week. Let's see. We have a little bit of stuff that's happened this past week and a half, where we had a little bit of how would you put it, a political movement that has happened. So some of the adult stuff has started to get banned as promised. So we are looking at a shift in the way content is perceived online, and that is going to have its drawbacks. We also know that over time that the individuals that do OnlyFans and other such things as a career are going to start having a dip in their ability to do what they do. So,
Honestly, fuck catching feelings for people. Think I'll
kind
make
of
that
wanted to
my
make
one
sure
goal
that
this
we touch base with them as well to kind of talk about like how do we get around, how do we navigate through the changes that we're going to make are actually happen very quickly. So talked about earlier this week how the uh, H-1Bs were changing for the sake of those individuals that were trying to get some. And we also came to understand that individuals, I found out after the fact that the people that were doing EB2 applications after the H-1Bs were actually being impacted by that as well. So there's going to be a lot of changes when it comes down to the immigration situation. So we're going to be talking about how that impacts us going forward. And then we talked about the Philippines yesterday about going out there and trying to find a better way to go. So we're dealing with a lot of good things, a lot of
honestly
ups.
fuck catching feelings for
As you can
people.
see, we are
Think I'll make
still
that my one goal
making it struggle with our internet situation, but we are going to make it work today.
this year.
It is drawing up. Let's see if we can draw up the audio files here. We're going to try to get our Q&As for today so that we can try to entertain ourselves with some of the most outrageous comments that I have had to experience in recent times. Let's see if we can get these up here and
Honestly, fuck
functioning.
catching feelings for people.
And as you guys come into tonight's show, make sure that you take the liberty, as I mentioned a moment ago, to like and subscribe, because that will give us the opportunity to do some of the things that we were
Honestly,
intending on
fuck
doing,
catching
which was
feelings for
giving
people.
you guys a
Think I'll
really
make that
good
my
show with
one goal
today's
this year.
topics.
To
I
kill any
am
potential growing
curious as
feelings
to
I start to
why
have for anyone, even if
as
it's
soon as we went live, the audio file did not work for us. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to grab these audio files by the audio files. Because we had this problem happen once before on Sunday. Usually it's a situation where the internet tanks. I had everything queued up earlier and it was working just fine. And I was like, fantastic. We're gonna have us a great night tonight. And then all of a sudden it did not go the way we wanted it to go. So I believe that the audio file is, in fact, it is working. So it is not us. It is the I know what I can do. I can potentially put this audio file in a different location, and then we're gonna get there and take a peek at it. Uh going live, you got to deal with the stuff that happens when you don't expect stuff to happen. So we had good bandwidth earlier today, and then when we started running our show live today, we ended up having complications with the bandwidth. And I'm sitting over here looking to myself. I'm like, that just really grinds my gears, because every time I got something good for you guys, I have to double back on it and be like, tech support issues, because I tried it and everything was working well, and then all of a sudden everything's not working well. So let's give it another go, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. It seems like one of the things that I would have to do is pull it up an hour in advance and then sit on it and then see
honestly
what
fuck
happens.
catching feelings for
So
people.
let's see. We've
Think I'll
got
make that
the
my
audio
one goal
file
this
going. Nope, not working for us. Not working for us. All right. Let's see if I can do this the old school way. So probably going to have to read these off if we can't uh, enjoy the audio file in and of itself. So let me see if I can do some backdoor antics and try to get this thing up here and rocking for us. Backdoor antics meaning uploading it from, I wonder if I can do a shared screen. Well, share screen would give it to us, but shared screen would have it also staring at the audio file. So I'm listening to the audio file. Oh, you know what? I got an idea. We're going to love this. So let's grab a couple of these things out of here, and then we're going to back out and go back in. We're going to give this another go. Hold on a second. So we're going to tap dance our way around this. We're going to go back out because we had this situation before. And we're going to come right back in, and you're going to see what's going on. Because as I'm determined to make sure that you guys can hear this, I had to reset the whole thing. These are the things that we do. Once you go live, it's like once the show goes on, it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
Honestly, fuck catching feelings for people.
And
Think I'll make that my one goal this year. To kill any potential growing feelings I start to have
for
for
some
anyone,
reason,
even if it seemingly
I
looks
can't
like it's
hear
going
it,
good.
but
Can't get your hopes
it
out here.
is going.
We're in a toxic
So
ass
why is
market where
that?
people will take advantage
I
of
gotta
any
tell you,
vulnerability they
it's
see.
an interesting day
Like
today,
predators
guys.
in the wild
So,
type shit. It's like the moment people realize you like them, but
yeah, let's do this on a different way. The only other way that I can give you this is I can give you this shared screen, because a shared screen is going to give you a that would work. Let me put that here. Hold on to this. And tech support issues. You get these when you're going live. Always when you're going live. So let's try our windows. We got our media player. Go here. We're going to share our media player. And then we are going to, is it sharing the media player? It was supposed to be sharing. Share screen, window, media player, share. And then, yeah, so it is supposed to be.
honestly, fuck catching feelings for people.
There we go.
Think I'll make that
Back end deals.
Can't get your hopes out here. We're in a toxic ass market where people will take advantage of any vulnerability they see, like predators and wild type shit. It's like the moment people realize you like them, but don't feel the same, they develop this natural urge to fuck around with your feelings and act like they like you once they pull back. Fuck that shit. I know I probably can't biologically stop myself from liking someone as a human nature is, but goddamn it, will I try. Getting played dies this year.
So that I thought was important for us to talk about. We had a lot of comments like that happening, and I was like, nah, I can't let my show not have these comments because you guys had some strong feelings, and I was like, nah, I gotta make sure that everybody knows that we got some mad folks around here today. So we got this under control for y'all. So understandably, she's angry. I would be angry too. The dating game has gotten hard, and because the dating game has gotten hard, there's little to no possibility for us to be able to say that we're going to effectively have a thumbs up scenario where it is just easy peasy to walk out there and just go find that special somebody and call it a special somebody and just keep that special somebody the way people want to keep that special somebody. That's not how things are going these days. Everybody's got an agenda. He's got an agenda, she's got an agenda, you've got an agenda, I've got an agenda. So this is some of the tough things that we have to deal with. The man's agenda, most men's agenda, is going to be potentially trying to get laid, but there are going to be a lot of men that's agenda is going to be more wrapped around establishing a positive relationship with the female, and having a lifelong relationship is the alternative goal for some men. Now, there are going to be some women that are also looking for that lifelong partner, but in the dating pool, not in marriages and relationships. There are some that are already in marriages and relationships that have the same mentality, but the dating pool, the ones that everybody's got to sift through to find the diamond in the rough, the rare breed, the special somebody, that situation is something that we typically do not have a choice but to accept that the modern 2024 women that are like 18 to 25, sometimes in their 30s, some 35 even, that are more focused on finding a payday, and that's going to interfere with the ability to be successful, because the women that are looking for financial stability in the forefront instead of looking for the financial stability on the back end are missing out on the good character and the positive attitudes and positive behaviors of men that would cater to her every needs and spoil her by nature. And then likewise, the men that are chasing the women solely for the expectation of sex and willing to pay the cost to get that expectation for sex are also bypassing their possibility of having a loyal, dedicated woman that will nurture them and care for them and pay attention to his needs. So on both sides of the fence, the dating scene has been more than corrupted, and the next generation learns from the last generation and so forth. So we have a problem where the way that we saw our parents and grandparents behave, we observed that, assumed some of that stuff was normal, and then some of us start to emulate that and some master that behavior. We have in our current situation, our current generation, where those of us that are middle-aged, our children and grandchildren are watching us and our parents behave, and then they're assuming some of that stuff is the norm. They're emulating some of that stuff, and then they're mastering some of that behavior, replicating it in a new way, which doesn't necessarily mean that it is positive behaviors. So we are manifesting a dating pool that is saturated with negative behavior, and then we're reinforcing that negative saturation with even more refined negativity. So the core values that we look for when we decide that we want to settle down are not the core values that we nurture. Since we're not nurturing those core values in the dating pool, we are missing out on the cultivation of expectations of wife material versus husband material. And that's one of the reasons why the dating game is hard, because you don't just date to hook up when you're looking for long-term companionship. You date to hook up when you're looking for entertainment. But most people start in the dating game looking for entertainment. And then as they get older at various ages, people decide to get back into the dating game to find long-term companionship. But because generation after generation has used the dating pool to increase their body count and have parties and fond memories of exciting nights on a town, we have forgotten that we've built a garden of pleasure that has no commitment attached to it. That's going to make it difficult for us once we start getting middle-aged and above middle-aged, and we decide to get back into that same pool and say that, we want to find somebody to settle down with. It's equivalent to going to a public pool and peeing in the pool. I mean, if everybody pees in the pool, then when you get in the pool, it's a pool full of pee. That you can't say, if you don't take care of it, it's not going to be good when you get back in it. And that's pretty much what we've got with the dating game. We have not nurtured the dating game in a positive fashion. Both men and women have both negatively involved themselves in the dating game over the past 40 years. And the dating game is not as fun as it used to be as far as looking for long-term companionship. It's not as fun as it used to be as far as looking for hookups. And we have gone to the realm of basically transactional engagements, where somebody's got to give up something in order for somebody else to give up something. And usually the women are exchanging entertainment and gifts and financial compensation for sex. Men are exchanging money and resources for the sex and the female's attention until she's willing to give up the sex. So all of these things are modifying the individual's ability to be successful when we start going back into that exact same dynamic and then trying to find a prince or a princess, a king or a queen out of that particular dating pool. So yeah, it sucks. But then the behaviors of the individuals that are in there, that's just something that we have to accept. We have to accept that. We have to accept it, ignore the negative ones, and start working our way into the positive ones. I mean, we ghost everybody. If we don't like the comment, if the comment isn't interesting enough, we just don't respond to it. And the fact is that we don't even give that person a sense of closure by saying, I changed my mind, I'm not interested, or anything to that effect. We just let it be. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
My dad's girlfriend, who's 25, started talking. I'm 23 and my dad's 59 and his girlfriend started talking. We're on a family trip and they just got back together. She just showed up to our family Thanksgiving and I guess I met her. They met when she was 18. He introduced me to me and I said she was 18. I was 17. He lied and said she was 25 at the time, but a little likely to have we're like day August 11th of our trip, and all of a sudden yesterday, she started to treat me like a child. She's tried making it a point for giving generation. For example, she tried explaining what dying is to me and she wishes it was still alive, so that I could experience it too, even though I did. Then today I was making jokes with my sister who's 19 literally had fun by herself. The girlfriend dropped me. Stop it right now. In a very stern, like disciplinary voice, she mistakenly thought my sister was funny. That made my blood boil, because even if we were fighting, she had no business for me. Jumping into the conversation to stop it too. Take on authoritarian. Later on, the girlfriend explained to my other sister who 18 how to turn on a normal shower and asked my sister if she needed help undressing. My sister who was 18 obviously felt very uncomfortable and was like, hell no, I'm not showering until I'm undressed. She acts like an 18-year-old girl in a proper. FYI, this girl is my dad's sugar baby and is completely supported by me. She is extremely spoiled and entitled, such as won't drink anything less than raw water and must have touched her designer clothes and jewelry. My dad and his GF are really toxic. They've broken up at least 20 times that I know of.
Mm.
This is the type of woman now since my parents split 10 years ago. He likes young, naive sugar babies, and she's the closest in age to me of all the girlfriends.
Wow.
Anyways, I'm looking for honestly small jobs or comments I can make to shut her up because I feel very uncomfortable with her mommy. Please don't give any advice on communicating to my dad these issues. That will backlash on me, and this girl is extremely emotionally immature. So if you have any smart aleck comments or low-key jabs, that would be helpful.
All right. So, based on what you've explained, you are mad at your dad's girlfriend that's 2 years older than you. Now, I know that some women are going to be angry about men dating younger women because they're not being selected because the woman that's half her age is being chosen by most of the men. But I mean, the bitterness of women that don't like men going after younger women is about the same as the bitterness of broke men not being selected by women who want rich men, even though the rich men are punching women in the eye. At least the younger women are not punching the men in the eye. It's just a weird dynamic. Either way, you're talking about your complaint is that the girl is for some reason pretending like you two are absolute children, even though she's a couple years older than you, which I thought was hilarious to hear. Is that she's 25, you're 23. She's talking to you like you're 13 and your sister's 8. I'm gonna tell you that would not have gone over well in my family. That's not even appropriate to say go talk to your father about it, to explain to your father about it, because if your child is an adult, even as the authoritarian person in the household, you still have to respect the other adults in the house as adults. Your authority is based over the fact that you control the resources in that house. And that is the fullest extent of your authority. Your authority is not to control who does what to who in the house when everybody's grown. If two people are arguing with one another in the house, the only thing that you can do is ask them to take that noise outside because the inside of this house is supposed to be quiet. Uh, Beyond that, you can't control if they fight each other because they're grown. They're both grown. Now, when it comes down to how she communicates with you, taking shots at her is more immature than being the bigger person. You need to sit her down and let her know that while you will respect her relationship with your father, you will not allow her to talk down to you as if she is your mother. Because even if she marries your father, she is not your mother and never will be. She will never take up the stepmom role being 2 years older than you. She's more like a big sister, which would still not be appropriate because she's marrying your dad. So being dad's girlfriend and being dad's wife means that you would be a in-law, and it is appropriate for in-laws to stay out of family affairs. Likewise, this is the kind of situation that we talked about with men dating single women. Men are going to have that same problem where the children are not going to want the new man in the family to say anything to anybody. So when you start getting teenagers, you get that "you're not my dad." Sometimes when you have the mothers that are protective of the children, you have them say that you can't talk to my child that way. So you're not able to appropriately discipline the children when the children need discipline, and that's one of the reasons why it is a red flag for a man to be involved with a woman that has children. Now, this particular situation, there is a excessively young woman, because you said your dad's 59, she's 25. He followed the mathematics of that. However, he is not supposed to be letting this little girl know that she should be telling his kids what to do, because all of his kids are grown. So his girlfriend slash wife or whatever should be exclusive to paying him attention, not paying y'all attention. If y'all get along, y'all get along. But if y'all don't get along, she should only be focusing on her boyfriend or her husband. She should not be focusing on the kids. So I'm not going to give you good jabs to give to the woman, because I believe that you would make a bigger impact on her if she says something that you don't like, that you do not dignify it with a response. It's one of the same way that we ghost each other on social media. I mean, when she says something that's out of line, if you just kind of catatonic stare for 2 or 3 seconds and then politely remove yourself from the room, you will have made more of an impact on her emotional state than what you would if you was to say something sarcastic or sideways to her. So I think that that would be a more effective way to go, is to not dignify her position. And you can literally, if you feel like you want to check this person, you can let her know, hey, being my dad's girlfriend gives you privileges with him, but that does not give you privileges with me. And you are not going to take a leadership role in my family. Follow the instructions of my father to a minimalistic degree. And I follow the instructions of my mother, my biological mother, to a minimalistic degree. And no one else gives me instruction that is not a law enforcement officer or a judge or a paramedic. And once you make that clear, it is her choice to either respect that or have you involve paramedics that will require law enforcement officers and judges, if you understand what I'm saying. That is the fullest extent of how you handle that particular type of situation. Usually, they get your drift, and usually they will stop communicating with you in a negative fashion. So let's go ahead and see if we can listen to another one here. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Woo.
And have never dated anyone. Guys don't approach me or ask about me to date me, while every girl around me are asked about. I've already accepted that even if I find a partner by sheer luck, I'll never be their first choice. I'll be settled for. A few days ago, I asked people on Reddit if I was ugly, and many said yes, while others called me attractive, but I don't believe them. Should I give up hopes of dating at this point? I've had like 2 or 3 flings, but it's clear what they wanted from me. My figure is fine, but it's my face that I hate, and which is making me miss out on love. It's important to me at least. Please give me genuine advice, and not looks don't matter, etc. All I'm focusing on these days is trying to get a conventionally attractive face, like fixing my teeth. I have terrible looking teeth, for example.
Okay, so yeah, looks do matter. No, anybody who lies to you and tells you that looks don't matter needs to be punched in the face. And then they'll have a teeth problem too. So think about this. The feminist women want to be accepted for their mind and their skill set and their capabilities. So they don't want to be judged for their looks, even though the only thing they bring to the table when they're dating is their looks and the potential to have sex with them. Now, it's a conundrum. It's a very huge contradiction. But the women that are being selected over you are being selected over you because of their level of attractiveness and their willingness to put out. You apparently are not meeting that criteria. However, even if you were willing to put out, they're just not looking at you for that. Now, there's a good thing behind that, because the man that does decide to talk to you, regardless of how you look, is going to be talking to you not because you're 100% attractive that he's willing to have an affair with, but because there's something about you besides your looks that he's very interested in, which means that particular type of relationship is going to last a lot longer than the flings and the affairs. There's another thing called a slump buster that fraternity guys use that term to identify the type of women that they're willing to sleep with when they're having trouble finding women to sleep with. Now, clearly, you're not really wanting to date men that are only focused on sleeping with you and have no other intentions towards you. The same way that a man is not going to want to only date a woman that clearly wants his money and is showing no intentions of anything other than receiving stuff from him. So we have to look at the fact that, you know, you haven't had that many flings, which is good. So your body count is low. And you haven't had a bunch of negative relationships, which is also good because you don't have as much trauma under your belt. You're going to come to find that you're actually going to be a better catch than most of the women that are 9s and 10s, have been ran through by the whole football team, and uh, have very bad attitudes because they have a false sense of entitlement and they believe that you're supposed to buy and do and give, and they're not supposed to do anything but stand there and look pretty. And then they're going to dictate terms because they were allowed to do so for a long period of time, and they don't bring anything to the table besides their looks. And that's when the men start shutting down on that type of behavior. That's when that type of woman is going to be in the same shoes that you're in. But until that happens to that woman, I can tell you the same thing that I tell a lot of women that are not getting that much attention. Hey, welcome to the man's side of the table. When we try to interact with females, that's exactly what's going to happen. Unless you're sitting there with a large quantity of cash that you're willing to throw around, charging a bunch of drinks to your tab or expensive dinners and fancy cars and yachts and trips and stuff, unless that's what you're trying to go for, where you're impressing her with your spending power, she'll stick around for your spending power. You might even have sex because of your spending power. But the fact is that she's not interested in who you are. She's just interested in what you do for her. Now, if your spending power disappears, she will disappear as well. It's almost like that song Hustle and Flow. I mean, they'll be out there with you until the gas money stops coming. They'll when the rim stops spinning, they stop coming. You know, when MC Hammer went broke, his wife was still there, but that entourage he had on the stage was not. You know, when you have it to give, you'll have a whole bunch of people that'll be your best friend while you got it to give. But when you no longer have it to give, you don't, very few people will still call you and see how you're doing and make sure you're still alive and make sure that you're still in good health when they're not benefiting from your presence without actually having to do anything to earn it. So you got to think about the fact that, yeah, you don't really want to have a large quantity of dudes just chasing you for your looks. You want dudes that are actually interested in what else you can do, your capabilities and your skill set. And there's a lot of mature men, more so in their middle ages right now, that are paying attention to the fact that those women that bring more to the table, do more, invest more, aid more, are more appealing to the men than those other women that were really good in bed. Women believe right now that being good in bed for a man is better for her relationship with the man, but it's not true, because men don't want a woman to tell him what to do in the bedroom and say, take it like this, or don't get it at all. You know, the social expectation is that she learns from the man that she has what satisfies him. So if she's had that many men, that many experiences, the fact is that she's going to draw from the senses and then produce a product, and then the man's either going to take it or he's going to leave it. Instead of her learning what to do, she's going to just do what she thinks is best and not ask his opinion at all, which is an epic fail. In both sides of the relationship, that's an epic fail. When you do what your when you do what you want without asking your partner what your partner needs out of that action, then you're not benefiting your partner, you're benefiting yourself. Now, does that mean that men should answer the women about financial arrangements? They should always consult, but not always should the woman have the final say in the endeavor, because if she's not paying for the situation, she should not be voting on the situation. I've said plenty of times that relationships should be like stock markets. They should be like stock options. They should be like a business, because it is. Relationships are a business. It's a merger, to be exact. When a man commits to a woman and they get married, the estate of the man is merged with the estate of the woman, which is the reason why when they divorce, the shares are split. So when you think about that investment, you have to think about the fact that voters' rights comes from financial investment. And voters' rights are not going to be on all parties, because not everybody is investing equally. And since they're not investing equally, you don't have equal voters' rights. So you just got to really think about what you're doing and how you're doing it, because if you give too much control on one side, you'll get controlled on the other. And if you want to be treated as an equal, you've got to come to the table with equal. And men and women are not going to be weighted equally. And the reason why they're not going to be weighted equally is because a man is going to bring resources and security, physical security to the table, financial and physical security, and women are going to bring aid, nurturing, uh, 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 non-tangible behavior to the table, which is a little bit different. So while that's what the man needs and that's what the man values is the non-tangible efforts from the woman, and what the woman needs and what the woman values is the tangible financial efforts from the man, the fact is you can't weigh them the same. And when you do weigh them the same, that's when you have an equivalence of exchange, which is equivalent to alchemy, where a certain quantity of financial investment must come before and or after a certain quantity of physical contribution. So my advice to you would be to stay single and run with it, because that's probably going to benefit you a lot more than tap dancing around, having a large quantity of partners. Increasing your body count might be fun, especially if you have different ones every week, but you're still going to feel empty. You're still going to feel lonely. You're still going to have that void. And when you're not sleeping with somebody, you're still not going to have anybody around you really caring about who you are and what you do, because your value in those situations is when you are putting out. And in those moments when you're not putting out, you are not holding value to those types of men. So I would prefer to be ugly and have somebody come to me in spite of my ugliness and want to be around me, even though I'm not spending any money on them, as opposed to somebody coming to me because they want my money, or as opposed to somebody coming to me just because I'm attractive, and if they don't get what they want from me, which in those situations it would be sex, and they would just be walking away, regardless of what I do, because what they came for, which wasn't the holistic expectations of me, what they came for, they're not getting. That would be a worse scenario to be in, because how would you feel if you were overly attractive and all they wanted you for was your body? You got to pick your battles here, man. Let's go ahead and tap dance into the next one.
Going through a breakup from a guy I genuinely believe was wrong. After a couple of years of meeting, we've done some really shitty things. Things with us were great, but the distance was too much for it to work. I feel sad and cry all the time. I know eventually I will feel that I miss him so much and I only want to be with him. He texted me last night wishing me a happy new year. I can't be his friend because I won't be able to move on, but I still think he is so wonderful. I've lost a good one and I'm so glad.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what happens when you make bad choices in a relationship, and typically 70 to 90% of the time the women leave. Uh so if he's still talking to you, he still cares. He wished you a happy New Year's. New Year's was like 5 days ago. So truth, if you want to see if there's a way that you can fix that while he's still communicating with you, this is your last shot. I would tell you go back and figure out what you did wrong and fix it. And then go back into that relationship, prioritizing that man so that you can be in a more positive relationship. You're not going to, when you recognize that that was a good man, because people make mistakes. Some mistakes are unforgivable to some people, and other mistakes are ignorable to others. If you can fix your mistakes, whatever you did wrong in a relationship that caused the two of you to break up, then you and him can get along, because men keep women. Men don't just, I can't explain what the boys do, but the men keep women like they keep collectible cards, like collecting all the Pokemon. Men keep women like collecting all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. They don't get rid of their women. So if you are going to come back and you're going to stay this time and you're going to work it out through thick and thin, for better or for worse, then he might give you another chance. But whatever it was that, if you left and whatever it was that you didn't like, you can't tolerate it, you can't find a way to work through it, that's going to put you in a situation that you just have to move on and accept the fact that you and him aren't going to work out. Now, I know that sucks, but that's just what happens. And when it happens, you've got to let it go cold turkey. So he the last time that you and him talk is going to be Happy New Year's, because Happy Valentine's Day, you're not going to respond. Happy Easter, you're not going to respond, because you should be moving on. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next one.
After 6 hours clubbing, I talked to a whooping 0 women. I don't know what to do anymore to learn to talk to women. I am so disappointed in myself. I've been hyping myself up this whole December. 2025 will be different. This year it changes. Start with something small and build from that. I am aware that doing a 180 out of the gates was unrealistic. So this New Year party, I promised myself to just talk to at least 3 girls I did not know better. I would consider that a victory and a step in the right direction. I did not set the goal of trying to flirt. Just tell them something nice. Still couldn't do it. I'll be real, I cried when I went to bed. I feel so let down by myself. 27 and here. Needless to say, I am a virgin, never been in a relationship, and have never even been kissed. Not surprising if I am not capable of talking to a woman. I remember at least 10 people whose outfits I could have complimented because I actually liked them. A nice necklace. I love your outfit. I think that ribbon really ties the whole thing together. I could have joked about the 2025 glasses or asked what they were drinking. Such innocuous shit like that could not have possibly been received negatively. And yet I wasn't capable of doing it. I just can't seem to muster the courage to talk to them, women, and frankly men too. I know they are normal people with the same fears, anxieties, and insecurities as me. I know that if they went clubbing, they are at least not hostile to being talked to. I know that if they do not want to talk to me, they will just signal it verbally or through body language. Rationally, I know that. But when the moment comes, I freeze up and can't muster the courage. I thought it was because I do not drink. I drank and hated it. I thought it was because going out with friends would not force me to get out of my comfort zone and talk to strangers. I went alone, so I had no other option to talk to people, even if out of boredom. I thought it was feeling unconfident due to not dressing well enough. I volunteered. Nothing helped tonight. I just spent a night drunk and alone, in a nice suit, constantly trying to gather my nerves and talk to someone, and constantly failing at it. I used the October 10th 10 rule, but even after realizing that 10 months, hell, even 10 minutes, from now it would not matter, I could not bring myself to do it. At some point, I even came across an acquaintance who introduced me to 4 friends of his, 3 women and 1 man. I lowered the bar out of desperation and decided that having a conversation with any of them would be enough for me to about the night. Besides some initial pleasantries, I could not hold a conversation with any of them for more than 3 sentences. Please help me. I'm 27 already. This kind of stuff should be sorted out by now. I should be able to at least interact with a stranger. How can I dream about ever being a father if I am not even capable of meeting random strangers, let alone the future mother of my children?
Well, oh yeah, that's a pretty tough one. Social anxiety is a very big issue, and you can't let yourself get down on that. There are other ways that you can kind of alleviate some of the pressure from social anxiety. For example, apparently you're not good at talking in crowds because you're telling me that you were at a club at the bar getting drunk and you didn't even have a conversation with the bartender who's paid to talk to you. Uh, I would tell you that you'd have to find smaller groups. You would probably have to. One of the things that guys go out in groups for is the wingman scenario where you have at least one trusted friend, whether it be male or female. Usually the male ones are a little bit better off if their goal is to get out there and get you talking. The females are going to be better if you're not trying to hook up with another chick. But having a wingman or a wing woman to get out there and help you interact with other people is going to be better for you to get started with your ability to talk. If you have not been in a relationship for a while, and you became a hermit because of that last relationship, you still have to get over the emotional trauma before you'll feel comfortable with communicating with other people. However, the same way people are more comfortable with verbalizing themselves in the workforce and they're not as comfortable with verbalizing themselves in a social atmosphere, you may have to perform a hobby or an activity with somebody and then try to develop a conversation with them in addition to that. For example, instead of going to a nightclub, maybe share a lane with somebody at a bowling alley, um, or go to a skating ring, or go to read a book like a bookstore, Barnes and Nobles, or something like that. Starbucks. Starbucks is when they're not protesting. Starbucks is a good place to talk to people. But the thing is that you still have to develop that courage to talk to somebody else. Now, if you have a wingman or a wing woman, there's a strong possibility that you can bring them with you. They can start the conversation and try to introduce you to the other person, but then you still have to have that confidence and that courage to continue the conversation going forward. There isn't a lot of advice to get you to break yourself out of that shell, besides if you're going to do it um, over social media where you're going to like gamer forums where you're communicating with people on the forum, and then after that you start trying to communicate with people in person. If you're doing WhatsApp or WeChat or Snapchat or Skype or something like that, where you're trying to communicate with somebody on video call, and then you want to build yourself up to communicating with people in person, there are transitionary phases that you can try to help you with getting yourself out there and getting your information on the table. But the issue that you have is that you're probably not going to see the success that you're looking for from long-term interactions with somebody unless you take the initiative, even if it's a one-on-one where you talk to a female at the grocery store while she's trying to buy some melons. Compliment her melons and then compliment the fruit in her hand. And I can more than assure you that something will shake out of that. Now, will it turn into a lifelong relationship? That's yet to be seen. But your confidence in yourself and your capabilities to understand that the worst that somebody can do is say no loud enough for everybody in the room to hear you. Men have to accept rejection. So you have to accept the consequences of your engagement before you start performing the engagement. If you expect to be rejected and you walk over there without a care in the world, assuming this rejection is going to come and you're going to remain positive regardless of the fact, when you don't get rejected, you will take a sigh of relief and maintain conversation. But finding out what that person is interested in is probably going to be more effective with maintaining a longer conversation than just talking about yourself. But probably you're going to feel more comfortable with talking about yourself because we don't usually like talking about things we don't know with people that we don't know. Just one of those things. All right, let's go ahead and move on.
Anyone here similar issue ever led to that? I've got some problems that have destroyed any chance I have of conversation, at least until I have surgery. That surgery isn't happening anytime soon. I don't have any plans. I'm dealing with my shit. To top that off, and now working from home, 100% of it. I thought of retreating back home for months, but I'm dealing with some problems and would love to meet someone to understand, because maybe they're dealing with their own problems. Basically, there you fucked up. Me too. Let's talk. With that said, I feel like it's here. Does anyone ever?
No, nobody in their right mind starts off at first person interaction with, "Hey, I'm screwed up. Are you screwed up? Wanna bring our screwed upness together?" I mean, yeah, you saw that on Batman with Harley Quinn and Joker, and you just assumed that that was the way things go. But no, that's not the way things go. If somebody comes across a profile and that profile says damaged goods, I can more than assure you nobody's picking that up. You don't go to the grocery store and see expired and then decide, oh, I'm going to pay full price for that. No. So if you've got something wrong with you health wise, especially if it's something that nobody can actually see readily, because I mean, if you're wheelchair bound or something like that, that's normal. And if you're not wheelchair bound, if you've got a third leg that's dragging behind you and hasn't been amputated yet, it doesn't matter what it is. That's who you are. So it's not a defect. It's just an issue that you have to get past. So truth be told, you shouldn't be starting your profile with "there's something wrong with you." The only thing that is wrong with you that you might need to let your partner know if it gets that far is if you have ED. So if your junk's not working, and then they decide that they want to get intimate, that's when you tell them. It's a lot like if you had an STD or something like that. You tell them you got an STD before you make out with them. But for you guys to high five in the park and play some football, they don't need to know that. You gotta use some reservation here, guy. I mean, if you're trying to find somebody, especially if what you got going on is not a permanent fixture, you're trying to meet this person. What you've got going on in your personal life should remain personal until that person becomes a part of your personal life. So no, you don't want to start your bio with, "Hey, I'm jacked up. Like my life is screwed." Is your life screwed? Let's mesh together. Not too many people get on a dating app, their life is screwed, and they're looking for somebody else whose life is also screwed. Women are a lot easier to get on a dating app with a screwed up life and get Captain Save them by some guy, but it is not going to happen that way by a man. If a man goes in there and his shit's not together, you're not going to find a bunch of women lining up to Captain Save that guy. It's not going to happen. So, truth be told, brother, if you're trying to find you a female that's going to give you the time of day, you have to be able to get your stuff together before you get on the dating app. And if you're going to get on the dating app while you're getting your stuff together, you keep it in the back of your mind that you're not 100% straight across the board. And you want to make sure that when you meet this female, that she is dedicated to you before you tell her about the catastrophic backstory of you, because otherwise you're never going to get past the check the what is it, swipe right, swipe left on the social media platforms. That's pretty much all you're going to get. That's it. They're going to like your photo but not respond to your messages because of the bio. Some people not even going to like your bio or like your profile because of your bio. They might say, "Oh, that's a nice photo," but his bio is pretty toxic, and you're not going to get anywhere with that, bro. You're not. All right, let's move on to the next one. Mm. Mm.
I'm not sure if this is my own issue I need to work through, or whether this is a genuine problem that needs to be addressed. I've got a friend, I'll call her Haley. I've known Haley for nearly 10 years, and she was my maid of honor at my wedding.
Mm.
How an open marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not calling her friend. We do have relations with people. It's not really for me, but if it works for them, then that's their business. I feel as if over the last few months, my husband and Haley have become very overly friendly.
Mm.
My husband was genuinely indifferent to her until he realized he and Haley played the same games. inviting him out for drink, which I was a little upset about not getting an invite, as I recently discussed how I'm feeling a little depressed as I struggle still with PMD 2 years on, and therapy for it. And because we've got a toddler, we both can't go out. We went out drinking with her and her husband on Christmas Eve, and I stayed home sorting out the Christmas dinner for the next day and tending to our toddler. I didn't mind so much as because we'd only be an hour, 2 hours now. However, it got to nearly midnight, and I hadn't heard anything from him. I rang him to find out if he'd be coming home, but didn't get an answer. My toddler was very fussy, and I still had the slow cooking to sort out. So needless to say, I was annoyed. He got home nearly 1 a.m. and proclaimed that Haley took his phone because she didn't want him to go home. Her husband vouched for this, but I was extremely annoyed if he was unreachable, and if there had been an emergency with our son, I wouldn't have been able to get focused. Which brings us to a couple of days ago when he invited Haley and her husband to play some games on Boxing Day. She does nodded and said that she's ran out of her info. And without a second thought, my husband offers her our son's info, which she took home. He said he didn't mean to let her take it home, but didn't stop her from putting it in her bag. I was upstairs tending to our son once again and didn't get to join in the games. So I didn't know about the info until yesterday. Our son is asthmatic, though normally he doesn't leave his inhaler, but when he has a cold, he really struggles without one. Currently, we have no cold, but he is due back at nursery next week. So I now need another prescription for him. Talking about films coming up in 2025, and the first thing my husband said was, Chainsaw Man is coming out. I can go with Haley when I asked why not me. He said I've never watched Chainsaw Man, which is true. And I did initially think he was talking about another movie, but it was a blow a little that we didn't think about anything we could have gone to see together. When I asked him if there was something we could see, he said, well, no, because one of us will have to watch our son, which again is true, but my parents only wanted to watch it today if we wanted to do something. I know I'm letting my feelings get in the way, but I don't want to come across as controlling, and I'm not sure if these facts are valid or if I'm overthinking. Any advice would be appreciated.
Yeah, you're overthinking a little bit. Okay, so since you guys have this thing where you're staying at home with the kid, you're starting to get really jealous of his ability to be social because both of you have the kid and you both have the same responsibilities to the kid, but you're the one stuck with the kid and he's the one having fun without the kid. So the poly relationship that your friend has with her husband has nothing to do with the fact that your husband is having a good time with your friend and your friend's husband. And apparently he's not going anywhere with her by themselves. It's him, her, and her husband. It's not likely that they're having some type of polyamorous affair, but I know that you might feel like that is a concern. He's a gamer, she's a gamer, they play video games together. You're not interested in video games. He's going to gravitate towards somebody who has the same interests as him. He likes certain movies, and that girl likes the same kind of movies, and her husband likes the same kind of movies. He's going to gravitate towards people who have the same interests as him. While he may still love and respect you and appreciate you and still love and respect and appreciate his child, the fact is that when he wants to be himself, he has to go and do that somewhere else because you're not feeling it. And a lot of women that aren't feeling it do not express the compassion to do what the man likes because that's what the man likes. However, women expect men to do what the woman likes because that's what the woman likes. And that biased behavior tarnishes the relationship because not a lot of men are willing to make the sacrifice to only prioritize her wants, needs, and desires and not prioritize his own. So since you have a friend who has a husband and the three of them all like the same stuff and you're not necessarily into that, he's going to go with them and have a good time. And then he's going to come back home with you. And him, the husband, might feel like he's doing a good job because he's not putting himself in a temptation scenario where he's hanging out with a bunch of women or something like that. He's hanging out with a married couple where hopefully the intent is not to turn that into some kind of three-way. Now, I can say that if you're the type of woman that doesn't like scary movies and Chainsaw Man is anything like Saw or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you're not into that kind of movie, he's not going to invite you. Then, if you want to watch a specific kind of movie that he's not interested in, he's not going to pass up watching Chainsaw Man with some friends to go and watch a movie that is not Chainsaw Man with you because you don't want to watch Chainsaw Man and he's only going to see Chainsaw Man. So if you wanted to go see Chainsaw Man with him and you paid for a babysitter, then just go. But if you're not going to watch Chainsaw Man with him, then that's kind of the problem. Because if you're going to go to a movie where he has to pick something that you want to watch, as opposed to him going to the movies and watching a movie with somebody else where they're watching what he wants to watch, you are not prioritizing your man's wants, needs, and desires, and he is gravitating away from you when you're being selfish about what you want and what you need and what you desire, but you're not thinking about the fact that he's missing something in the relationship and he's finding it with your friend and her husband. So if you want to fill that gap, you need to find out what he likes and what he likes to do and make your best efforts to do that with him. Because if you've got a good man, he is going to do the exact same thing for you. So universally, he's going to prioritize your wants, needs, and desires, and you must prioritize his wants, needs, and desires. And that way you guys have equilibrium. Even if you guys have a kid in the fold, same thing. The fact is that prioritizing your husband gives him less reason to find that fulfillment outside of the marriage. And not a lot of women are going to agree with me on that. They're going to say that guys are dogs all the way around. But truth is that if it's not in the marriage, it exists. And if it's not in the marriage, it's going to be found outside of the marriage, regardless of whether it's a man or a woman doing it. And if what's missing in the marriage has to be paid for outside of the marriage, some people even pay the cost to get that gratification outside of the marriage because they're not getting it inside of the marriage. So whether you're the husband deprived of the wife's attention or the wife deprived of the husband's attention, if you don't start prioritizing your partner will find that gratification somewhere else. So just think about that. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe as you guys are coming along. Let's move on to the next one here. Well, shit. Mm.
So far, the ones in there have been connected us immediately with my testimony. What is my favorite verses in the Old Testament and New Testaments? What church I go to, etc. out of blue. Is this the way they do to validate someone's authenticity or faith? I'm just starting to hate because it's been only a month. Any tips on being ghosted or receiving rejection messages without co-pulling reasons are appreciated.
Well, first of all, the females in the church are retired. They've been in the game for the longest period of time. Their body counts is outrageous. You got the people that go to the church are born again, saved kind of scenarios. They're not nuns from birth. They're not pastors and preachers and fathers of the Lord where they have never done a sin in their life. Usually the people that are the most devoted in church are the ones that have committed some severe cardinal sins in their past. They have done a life-changing scenario, and that life-changing scenario made them give themselves over to God and out of servitude or repentance for the catastrophic chaos that they performed in their younger days. They're now dedicating themselves to God, and they're putting on a pretty good show on Sundays. And then they're going to validate their own religious beliefs by challenging yours. And it's not so much like, oh, they're going to say that your beliefs are wrong. You're going to more so get the experience that they're going to test your knowledge of the Bible and then see if they know more than you, because if they know more than you, then that validates them. But that you're not going to find a wife if you're comparing scripture. You're not going to find a husband if you're comparing scripture. Um, so that's something that you got to change. You change places where you look. You're also going to have to understand that the people you're 42, so you've been in the dating game since before the internet. So you're used to knocking on somebody's door and asking them if they can come out. You're used to calling somebody on their landline and leaving a voice message on their answering machine. And then they pick up the phone and start talking to you once they verified your voice. You're used to writing a letter to somebody, not sending them a text message. So I completely understand where you're coming from. And you might be so much so as used to typing that letter with a typewriter and then sending it to them. So clearly I understand where you're coming from, but I can also tell you that a month is not going to be enough in our lifetime. At the age of 40 something, I can tell you that in the 90s you would have been a teenager, and in the 90s you didn't find a girlfriend or a boyfriend in 30 days time. It took you the better part of the year to come across one or two people that were interested in you as much as you were interested in them. So here in 2024, 20 something years later, I can tell you that on social media, they're going to be attracted to your photo first before they read your bio. And then if they're attracted to your bio and your photo, then they might send you a message. If you are attracted to their bio, that don't mean that they care about you or your bio. And if you're attracted to their photo, that does not mean that you're attracted to their bio, and they still do not have to be attracted to your bio or your photo. So you have to understand the algorithm is not tuned to the best of the profile that you created. Reason being is because it takes all of the people that meet your criteria and show them to you. And then all of the people that you meet their criteria, it shows you to them. And then if both of you like each other, that's a match. Now, the problem with that is that depending on when your standards are lower, when you're going through a depressed phase or something like that, you might click that yes button to more criteria that's beneath your expectations. And when your situation goes back up again, when your confidence goes back up again, you typically ghost those people because they were never part of your general pool of interest. It's like, getting a bunch of free agents that are like third string, third tier players. You put them on a team just in case you don't have any players to fill that position. But once you got starters signing on, you're like, nope, we're putting all of our stars in first. So then the other person that was originally selected to fill in the gap now rides the bench for the entire season, never getting in the game. And really, that's what we have with our current dating game right now. The fact is that they might keep you around because you're all right, but you're not what they wanted. Doesn't mean that you're not what they needed. It's just that you're not what they wanted. So it's going to be one of those situations where, truth be told, sir, that you just need to, if you're trying to meet somebody online, you need to update your profile, put in a little bit more detail here and there, nothing depressing. And then try your best to be your best self by ideally rolling out the true you, not so much the you that you want them to portray. So if you put the true you up there, then there's a stronger possibility that the person that accepts you for who you are and what you got going on. But like the other person that asked questions about putting up his problems on the platform, that's signs of depression, which is also signs of toxicity, which is also signs of problems before you even get into the fold. So you don't want to put financial failures, health failures, psychological and emotional failures into your profile. You don't want to do that. And the reason being is because you don't want them to discourage their ability to get to know you before they get to know the problem. If the relationship does not carry itself to a level where your personal problems become part of the relationship, then that's less people that know that you got something bad going on. But if you post that as the first thing on your bio, that's you're not going to win. I would also avoid talking about how much you make. I would also avoid putting your career path on your profile because they'll judge you based on your career path. They'll also judge you based on your income, your observed income. And if they do accept you because of that observed income, they're not with you for who you are. They'd be with you for the money. So then you would have a relationship based off of false pretenses. So I don't wish that upon you. So I would tell you to keep trying, try a few other places. And before I waste money on a membership, I need to find out if these people are going to be dedicated. Because if I'm looking at a bunch of catfish accounts, I ain't paying for squat. Just move on to another platform. But when you can start finding people that you can have a genuine connection with, that's when you can start saying, okay, let's start talking on WhatsApp. Let's start talking on WeChat. Let's start talking on Skype, IG, Snapchat, so that we don't have to spend all this extra money on this platform, so that we can figure out if we even like each other enough to spend money on each other. But somewhere along the lines, you're going to have to draw you a path to success. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to make it. All right, let's move on. Good idea. Great idea. I'm going to tell you that when it comes down to texting these girls, I've said this throughout the show today, that a lot of the times the ones on these dating apps might not have proper positive intentions. And as a result, it would be in your best interest to try to avoid them. So if you've got some that are not quick to respond, and they're not providing you with a reasonable explanation for that, and then making initiative to try to rekindle or start up another conversation, the fact is that those are the ones that you need to leave alone, because they're going to end up not prioritizing you in the relationship. When it comes down to uh, the reasonable conversations, and then the conversations phase out, it is what it is, bro. Because yeah, you could keep the conversation going, but my advice to you would not be to try to keep the conversation going. It would be to try to meet with them in person, and then see if you can have that same style of conversation face to face, and then see if you can turn that into a second or third date, as opposed to just talking to them on social media. Because you could talk to your dog if you're sitting here thinking about the scenarios where you're texting these women and nobody's responding to you. You can have a whole conversation with your cat and your dog and get more attention from them than what you would off of the website. So the going down that path isn't a smart move to go down when you start talking about like getting out there and trying to force communication off of social media. But I also have to understand that there's more than one way for you to be successful with that. But truth, You could just go and meet somebody in a grocery store and come back with a date, because they're either married or they're not. And either way, they're cooking because of what they're buying, whatever they got in the shopping cart. So you just got to try to figure that part out. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, because that's pretty much it, bro. You just gotta you've got to stick with it, and then yeah, you're right. You don't want to allow yourself to overwork yourself to win this scenario, but you want to work the scenario into a first meet. If it's not leading towards a first meet, let it fizzle out and move on to another one. Redirect your attention, because yeah, it is not the man's responsibility to carry the whole relationship. It's both parties' responsibility to carry the relationship. And if you're the only person carrying it, you need to let it drop. It's trust fall. If she don't catch it, it's dead. Sit. Okay.
How are you even supposed to text the girls as a guy? So I don't know if I'm the only one, but it's so off-putting for me to have
I think we just went through this one.
a good portion of them today. Like I might match with someone on a dating app or start trying to girl on a date, but when I try to make a conversation and being friendly, I don't know if this means they don't care at all or are expecting me to continue the conversation, or if they genuinely don't even know what to say. There are very few women who try to be engaging. I've even had girls who have outright told me they are interested and attracted, still reply with low effort. What's up with this? Up until now, I've honestly just stopped replying or matched their low effort response. So it's not going to go anywhere. The conversation always ends up fizzling out because of this. So it's a waste of time. But this has been so common that I now question whether or not I should try to keep the conversation going. I've heard sometimes that girls try to text you with low effort replies or leaving you on scene, but that just makes me want to stop texting altogether. I've had dramatic experiences with love, and you bet I'm the first one to drop the ball if I ever get a glimpse of unbalanced love.
So on to the next one.
28, I'm ready to leave my husband. 29, after what he said during the fight about his phone.
Yes.
My husband has an insane phone addiction that's fueled by his video games. When he's not playing video games, he pretends to be involved in our family. We have a 2-year-old child. By sitting on his phone on the couch, texting his sister.
Nothing.
Watch shows together, comment on what's going on, laugh at the jokes. We used to ride with them and talk in the car. Raising a child is much harder for us to get out. But even after I spend 20 minutes looking for something for us to watch together, 30 minutes on screen is fine. I asked him to go going to 2 months ago, and he was sleeping. But by the time our child was asleep, he was playing the idea and wanted to play video games.
Okay.
Just trying to spend time together. And I honestly went to the bedroom alone and cried. I spent every single night going to bed alone because he just on to play video games. What's going on with intimacy that you might ask? I'll get there. Any message he gets from his video game is more interesting than anything. We could have our child pulling on him looking for attention, and we will actually suck his teeth if we're watching it again. This has gone to the point the last 2 months that I make very private and irritated comments about his phone. He gets extremely defensive and will even throw it. But if I so much as get up to go to, by the time I come back, he gets worse than it again.
There you go.
Talking WIC for the moment. I gotta, so he can snatch it back up again. Sometimes in the middle of an actual climax in a movie, I will suddenly hear a motor vibration sound coming from his phone. When I tell him something I heard in the song, he can never just put his phone down and say, "Oh, you tell me about it." He will actually rush me through my story by rolling his eyes and saying, almost like, "Get on with it." Phone still unlocked, and I'm just waiting for the moment I speak my last words, and the burden of listening is off his face. At this point, I've grown extremely unattractive. He does the bare minimum for the house because he's always so busy playing video games on the phone or napping in the middle of the day because he stayed up too late. Just today, he left me with the baby for 4 hours. And when he finally returned to the living room, he laid on the couch on his phone while the baby cried all over. I made another side comment and told the baby to go play with Daddy T since he hasn't seen him in a few hours. This led to him sucking his teeth saying, "What do you want me to do?" So naturally, I just ended up doing nothing towards it. Becoming a burden more than anything. Just another mess maker to clean up after. I don't want to have sex at all. How can I want to have sex after a day of watching him do absolutely nothing? But sit on his phone, PS5, ignoring it, and then nothing. After a day of cleaning and tending to the baby, and cutting a myriad of different fucking foods all fucking day. Of course, I don't want to fuck a bro. Genuinely, the lady the day I could have a fuck that I even want to
Yeah.
you're just a piece of fucking furniture.
Wow.
Nothing you can do. It's supposed to make you want to get wet.
Wow.
Should I for 5 minutes real quick before you turn your PS5 on?
Mm.
Fuck off alone in the
Wow. Cha. Oh boy. Mm.
all of this NY fault. Didn't even address the issue at hand. What's it on me? Being it that I'm already fully experiencing it towards him. That was kind of a cherry on top.
Mm. Yeah, it's fixable. Well, see, the first problem is that you coming over here telling me one side about how you pissed off that he's paying attention to the shit that matters to him. But at no point did you say, oh, you know what? Instead of me trying to force him to do something that I want to do, I jumped on this thing that he wants to do. You know, a lot of the times in most of our modern relationships, the men's identity is lost. It's just completely lost. The men spend so much time trying to win the girl that his identity disappears because all he does is try to become the man that she wants him to be. She does not love and care for the man that she's got. So he has to turn himself into something that he is not so that she will stay, which is completely screwed up. Then he has to build this man cave where he can be him true self. Then he has to come out of the man cave and entertain you, pretending like he's something that he's not, in order to keep the girl. Nowhere in there does the girl start doing the stuff that he likes. Nowhere in there does the girl starts prioritizing the passions that he has. You've got a guy that plays video games, and he's been playing video games for a long time, because you can't tell me that like you had a kid and all of a sudden he decided to start playing video games. No, he stopped playing video games and was prioritizing you, which is why he's playing video games on a cell phone, and he does what you want and go to places that you want, and he watches movies that you like, but he don't like that stuff. If the man wanted to watch that movie, he would not pick up his cell phone and start playing video games during the movie. That's the movie that you chose. You tried to talk him into watching it because that's what you wanted to see. You did not put his movie up there. You put your movie up there and called it an our movie, but that's not an our movie. That's a your movie, and that's why he's playing video games. If you do what a man wants to do, you got his undivided attention. Just like a couple guests ago, where the lady was just talking about how her husband was leaving with her best friend and her best friend's husband, and they were out having a good time while she was at the house watching the kid. These men are going to leave their relationship to go find solace somewhere else. So if you want your man to pay attention to you, you want your man to prioritize you, prioritize him. Find out what he likes and go do that. Do that first. If you don't like it, that's the best thing that you want to get yourself involved in, because that's probably the thing that he likes the most. And then again, get this ick out of your mind, because fact is you had a baby with him, so there is no such thing as an ick there, child. You wanted this before y'all had chillins, and now that y'all got chillins, you just tired of the responsibility. But you're getting mad at him, and you're gonna sit here and expect him to be the caretaker of the house, and then both of y'all are supposed to be working and taking care of the kids or whatever, but when he finishes doing and saying and whatever that you want to do, you're still going to have a problem with him getting on his phone playing video games. you're going to have a problem with him getting on his PlayStation and playing video games. You want him to do whatever it is that you're looking for. But at no point in that 5 minutes that you explained to me that story did you ever say how you jumped on, like you said he was doing like NBA 2K or whatever. You said he was over there doing a little racing games and stuff, like the rally car stuff. You never told me, hey, since he's always on these games, one day he left, I got in there, I learned how to play the game. He came back, I challenged him, and I beat him. Like, you don't say that. You don't say that. You don't say, oh yeah, I got my husband or my boyfriend to get off the game because I challenged him to a thing, and if I won, he would get off the game for 4 hours and give me his undivided attention. That's one way to get it. That's one way to get it. You should have 2 TVs, 2 consoles in the house. He's playing one TV, you're playing on the other TV, and y'all do a co-op mode online against the world. Because that's what y'all did when y'all got married. Y'all vowed to be us against the world. And whatever the hell he got going on, he does not have a partner that knows him better than you. And if he does, you're screwing up. You are supposed to be his +1. You are supposed to be his number 2. So the fact that you're on here complaining about the fact that he's finding his fulfillment, he's finding his better half on a video game, in a mass multiplayer RPG game, as opposed to you being his better half, you can't get mad at him for that. You can't hate his decision to have entertainment and have stress relief with someone else somewhere else because you're not happy. That's not fair to him that you're going to get there and put him on the chopping block because you're prioritizing yourself. You're not prioritizing him, and you're upset that he's not prioritizing you. That makes absolutely no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. If you're not going to prioritize him, then you should probably, accept the fact that he's going to prioritize him. Because when are you going to be in a marriage where only you are taken care of? How is that a good marriage? People say all the time, happy wife, happy life. That's not true. Happy wife means less chaos. Happy wife means less bitterness. Happy wife means less patronizing zingers. Just like you were saying, you were taking shots at the man. You were making sly comments in front of the man. You're showing your irritability by saying negative things or saying things in a negative way in front of the man that'll lead the man into feeling threatened and or attacked, which will have the man retaliate verbally, which will lead to an unnecessary conversation. And then all y'all are going to do is end up breaking up because you don't want to prioritize his happiness, but you want him to prioritize your happiness. You can't be selfish and expect generosity. It doesn't work that way. Special shout out to Red Void, Omni81. I see you guys jumping in from Twitch. You guys gotta understand, you cannot prioritize selfishness and then expect generosity. If you are not willing to put your husband before yourself, you cannot ask your husband to do nothing for you. You cannot expect your husband to do nothing for you. Before he put up $1, you need to be willing to put up 10. Before you expect him to do something for you that you know that he's not going to want to do, you need to be willing to do things for him that you know you don't want to do. And the best way to find out what your man want and what your man need is to ask him. And if you're not going to ask him, just listen to him complain about the things that aren't getting done in his life. It ain't even got to be your responsibility. It's just that you overhear him venting about the things that are not going the way he would like it to go. And then by all means, if you start tackling some of that stuff, you'll start seeing him tackling some of the stuff that you need done, whether it's buying something, paying for something, or just giving you some spending money to let you do it yourself. And when it comes down to the expression of love for one another, y'all got to prioritize each other. Even if he's stress relieving on a video game all afternoon, y'all got to prioritize each other. So he does have some faults there because he's not putting enough effort into prioritizing you. But ma'am, you have not prioritized him out throughout that conversation. So this is both of y'all failing each other. And both of y'all need to work on that. But the best way for you to bond with your husband, since he's an active gamer, become a gamer's wife and game with the man. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Get a multiplayer game that he likes, and then you learn how to play it, and then you get on there and you play it with him. That's how you do it. Then you teach your kid how to play the game so that the kid can play with the dad. That's how you do it. Make it a family affair. Now you got 3 consoles in the house with 3 TVs, and the 3 of y'all are on the same team, 3 against the world. Y'all can formulate stronger bonds when you're a better co-op team on a video game. Y'all can formulate better bonds off of the game. And that will give you the ability to cooperate with one another in real life. Y'all must be able to back each other up, especially, ma'am, since you want to be the leader outside of the video game. If you let him be the leader inside of the game, since you're not letting him lead anything outside of the game, you can give him his sense of validation and then still be put up on the pedestal where you treat him like a servant instead of treating him like your queen after you demand that he treats you like his queen. Make that make sense for me. But be that as it may, I want to go ahead and wrap things up today because that's all the questions and comments that we do have for today. We've got the rest of the lineup for the next week up there. So double check on YouTube which ones you want to get into. I recommend that you get into all of them. We've been coming across some topics where I'm probably going to put more topics up because there's just so many things that people have asked me about over the past week. And I want to try to run a couple shows about some of those things. So just stay tuned on YouTube because we are starting live at about 10 o'clock Central Time, which is 2200 hours military time on Central Standard Time in Central America. So every night of the week is where we're airing. And I encourage you guys to come to the show and take a look at what we got going on, because while we've got the next 7 or 8 days up there already, where you can kind of get a glimpse of what the topics are going to be about and what materials we're going to be potentially bringing, you also have the opportunity to take a look at the stores and other such. And if you guys throw us some special likes, special emojis and special things, you guys can show some support to the podcast, help the podcast grow bigger, help us get a more expensive router, because we're already running like 400 gigs worth of data at high speed internet with T-Mobile. And we're trying to get the fiber optics, but that hasn't gotten here yet. So as we try to fix the internet situation, we keep you guys up to date about what's going on. And anybody who needs advice, we give them that as well, whether it's relationship advice, social interaction advice, or even financial advice, because we've been talking to people about how you can benefit your own profits and losses by eliminating more of your debt. And that increases more income that sits in your bank account or sits in your pocket. So there's a lot of ways we can go about making ourselves more financially successful. And there's a lot of ways that we can go about having better relationships, but it requires communication. It requires effort. It requires checking back in and re-looking at your 5 and 10 year plan and make sure that you're still on the right track. Long as you're on the right track, your wife and your girlfriend will understand when they're in that mansion with a 25 foot threshold from the door with double doors that open up with 2 butlers, one on each side, swinging that door open. She'll understand when you get to that point. But until you get to that part, you ain't shit. So what we got to do is we've got to change that dynamic, because if we do, then we'll start getting better results from the people that we date. Now, again, I'm going to remind you guys to take a look at us every night of the week. We have different things coming. All of them are going to be great. Alan says that he's probably going to dive in on one of these nights. So I've got a different topic every night. Whenever Alan dives in, I'll be able to respond to Alan. Put a special shout out to Alan so that everybody knows that he's here. And then after we finish with Alan, we get back to the regularly scheduled program. So I'm not sure which day of the week he's going to touch base, but we are live 7 days a week. So we will be talking about business, finance, politics style stuff Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then relationship style topics Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Self-improvement topics also will appear on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then our members only, that's open to the public right now, Q&As, we're going to be trying to get those in here as well on our Sundays. So take a look at us every day of the week. We are locking in that 10 o'clock time slot, so you're not going to be negatively impacted during daylight savings time if you don't acknowledge daylight savings time. So it'll be the same regular shift. Beyond that, that's all the information I got for you guys. I want to make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Make sure that you join the membership. Check out the merchandise. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. Lady, please make it make sense. And fellas, I really appreciate you guys putting in the extra effort with your attires and everything to that effect. You guys make us what we are. We really appreciate you guys. Special shout out to those of you that are watching us from Twitch. I'm your host, Xander, on This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Central Standard.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.